Let's be honest, the idea of buying a house when your credit isn't great sounds impossible. But here's the truth. People are becoming homeowners every single week with credit scores most lenders would call bad. Now, I am not here to sugarcoat this. I'm here to show you exactly how they're doing it and how you might be able to do it too. I work with buyers across Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties here in Tampa Bay, and a big part of my job is helping people turn someday into today, even when your credit isn't perfect. So let's tackle the questions that I get all the time. First up, can you really buy a house in Tampa Bay or anywhere for that matter with bad credit? And the answer is yes, you can. It's not easy, but it's not completely impossible either. The key is knowing your financing options, improving your credit where you can, and working with people who understand how to get creative with the system and understand where to find the information, from the right lenders to the right agent. So what does bad credit even mean? Let's set the tone and a guide. Most lenders use FICO score, which ranges from 300 to 850 points. So here's a quick breakdown. Excellent credit is 750 points and up. Good credit, 700 to 749. Fair is about 650 points to 699 points. Poor credit runs about 550 to 649. And very poor is below 550 in regards to FICO credit score. Now, here's the thing. You can still qualify for certain loans with a score as low as 580 points. If you've got consistent income or perhaps a little more money to put down, that will help balance out the risk factors for the lender. Now, there are specifics and you do have to qualify. So everybody's situation is going to be completely different. And there's no one solution that is cookie cutter to fit every single person out there. Again, remember I said I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It will take some hard work and some perseverance. That's why it's important to work with the right real estate professional, the lender, credit counselors. We're going to get into all that. How realistic is it to buy right now with that kind of score? It's pretty realistic, actually, at least here in Tampa Bay, and that's mainly what we're talking about. As of mid-2025, the median home price in Tampa Bay is hovering right around $430,000. You might say, whoa, 430? That's a lot of money, and I can't afford that. But what I said was it's the median price, so that's the middle price point. It's 50% of homes are below that, and 50% of homes that are sold are above that. So if your credit score is on the lower end, you might have to pay slightly higher interest rates. And I know they're already up there, but rates are coming down. So like I said, we're not getting into the minutia of things. We're just talking about making a plan for the future and talking about things that could offset that higher interest rate, such as different lending programs and down payment assistance programs. The key here is pairing the right loan with the right property and keeping your expectations realistic. What kind of loans are available for buyers with bad credit? It's another great question that I get all the time. There are several solid options. The first is an FHA loan, which is backed by the Federal Housing Administration. And these are perfect for buyers rebuilding credit or just starting out building up credit to begin with if you're starting your journey as into the homeownership world. You can often qualify with a credit score of as low as 580 points with as little as 3.5% down. Now, depending on your situation, you may have to put down a little bit more money. But like I said, it's going to be dependent on each person. Next up is VA loans. If you're a veteran or active duty service member, VA loans are incredibly flexible. They also have zero down payment and latent credit requirements. There are some other things that you need to look at to qualify, and even spouses and siblings may qualify for a VA loan under certain circumstances, but we can talk about that on a case-by-case basis. USDA loans, which are generally covering rural areas, which do include parts of Pasco and northern Hillsborough County, they offer zero down payment for qualified buyers. Then they also, I've seen a few USDA loans come out over in Pinellas County, but they're a little bit harder to find. And when I say rural, don't think rural like farm country, rural. I mean, even if you just go out to Wesley Chapel or east of Riverview, or even part of Riverview, some of Riverview, there's some areas there where you might qualify for some USDA loans. Next is Florida Housing Finance Programs. These are state level programs that provide down payment or closing cost help, and even help you if you have lower credit scores. And now these are going to be very dependent on funding and the local jurisdiction that's maybe offering them. And I know certain programs do run out of money depending on the time of the year. And so you might have to wait until the next budget year to qualify for one of those loans, but it's definitely an option and it's something to look forward to. Should you try to improve your credit before buying? The simple answer is yes, absolutely. Even a small bump in your credit score can lower your rate, and then that's going to save you thousands over the life of your loan. So let's start by checking your credit report for errors. That's a really good one because they're more common than you'd think. And then don't open any new accounts unless you absolutely have to when you're getting ready to apply for a mortgage. So the number one thing, and probably the most important to improve your credit score, is to make your payments on time. Don't be late. That'll help change your credit score over time tremendously. And I absolutely recommend contacting a local credit counselor and talking with a mortgage professional who specializes in pre-approvals for lower score buyers, because you're going to need professional advice. This is not my forte. I'm just giving you the information that you need so that you can make some informed decisions and we can get you on the way to your path of owning a home. And just remember, sometimes it only takes a few months of cleanup to open up different loan options. So don't give up before you get started, okay? Everybody can do this. It just little by little, you can make a big, big difference. How do I actually help buyers in this situation? Well, I focus on strategy. I'm going to match you with lenders and opportunities that make sense. For example, I'm going to help you figure out how much money you want to spend monthly for your payment, total. Because that's what it really boils down to. How much money is coming in and how much money is going out when it comes to your mortgage payment and how much you can afford. And we're going to do this in partnership with our lender. Then we're going to need to get you pre-approved, or better yet, if your lender can do it, we're going to get a TBD, so a to be determined, which means you're really going to underwriting to get as much of a solid approval as possible. Because we want to have a deep dive done when you're really ready to buy a house, because that's going to make you more marketable. And it's also going to give you an idea of what you have to get done before you go buy a house, you find a house, and then for some reason, if your financing falls through. Now, once you get through all that, the lender can give you your max loan amount so that we can focus on that price point and those locations that make the most sense for you, your family, your situation. And then I'm also going to make sure that your offer looks really strong to the sellers. Maybe they can help you with closing costs, credits, or we're going to highlight for sure that you have a pre-approval, which is pretty standard, but even maybe to strengthen things, if you do get that to be determined loan, which again, remember, you've gone to underwriting, we just need to find a home address for you. It's a little bit more security that you've done a full background deep dive into your credit and your finance situation so that the seller feels more comfortable coming off the market and taking that home down because they've accepted your offer to purchase. Every little edge matters when your credit isn't perfect. And that's where local knowledge comes in handy. And as I mentioned once before, are there local programs that can help? Yeah, of course there are. And they're definitely worth looking into. Here's an example. City of Tampa down payment assistant programs offer up to $15,000 for first-time buyers who qualify. Pinellas County's first-time home buyer program can be deferred interest-free loans. So in other words, they're typically going to put that as a loan or a second mortgage on the house on the back end, which can help you get into the house. There's some caveats to that, so just make sure you understand exactly what you're getting into when you use one of these programs. I don't want you to get caught on the back end not understanding things. And then there's other programs such as the Florida Assist Second Mortgage programs, kind of like what I just explained, where they help you with upfront costs like down payments and closing fees, et cetera, if you don't have the cash to get to closing, because you are going to need some cash to close. It's not just going to be all wrapped up. Remember, FHA loan is 3.5% of whatever the purchase price is of the house. And then there's also closing fees and taxes that you're going to have to pay, plus a few other things such as a home inspection, your 4 points, your wind mitigations, things like that. You're going to have to get homeowners insurance, all those things that will be discussed when you sit down for your consultation with your real estate professional. These programs are very real, and they've helped plenty of Tampa Bay families get into homes faster than they thought possible. The big thing is just to make sure to check that they're current. You want to know what current eligibility is and all the details regarding funding and guidelines, because those things change constantly. So just make sure you do your homework. And then new programs pop up all the time too. So they're out there. Just be careful how you find the information. Remember, most of these programs are actually through the county jurisdiction or the city or even the state. Sometimes, remember, reputable lenders will have some of these programs. Just make sure that you're not giving out your information and just filling out everything that you see come across. Because once you start searching, you're going to start seeing a whole bunch of stuff pop up on like Facebook, Instagram, things like that. Just be cautious what you click and who you give your information to. People should not be asking you for Social Security information, things like that. You need to make sure you vet the program before you give out that critical information. So just food for thought, giving you some guidance. So what's my best advice for buying smart with bad credit? Get pre-approved early so you know exactly what you're working with. Keep extra savings for closing costs, like I mentioned, and reserves you're going to need to give to the lenders, insurance companies, so on and so forth. And then stay organized with your pay stubs. You're going to need them. They're going to ask you for pay stubs multiple times. You're going to need bank statements. So every time a month turns, you're going to need to turn into the lender a new bank statement. Same thing. Let's say you get paid every 2 weeks, you're going to have to turn in that bank stub or the pay stub to the lender. And then most importantly, be patient and persistent. The process might take a little longer, but progress adds up fast. And when you're consistent, that's the key. Don't delay on certain things. Don't wait to give information to the bank when they ask for it. Now, what if your credit feels too far gone? I've heard this too. People are like, my credit's just too low. I'm never going to get there. Well, you'd be surprised how many Tampa Bay homeowners started exactly where you are. Bad credit is not a permanent label. It's just a point in time. I've helped people who've thought they'd never qualify walk into closing a year later with keys in hand. It can be done. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I'm not sugarcoating that. It just takes some planning, a little bit of discipline, but it's absolutely doable. So that's today's video. If you've got questions about this, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description below, and I'll pin it up in the first comment. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next video.